It's a usual sleepy Sunday in the world of gaming, but there's still some stuff to talk about when it comes to the future of console gaming. Now, obviously, this holiday we're going to be getting the Xbox One X, and it has the potential to be great. Obviously, whether or not it is, sadly, as usual, no crystal ball is nowhere to be found, but we do have some comments from various people about a few things that I think are interesting. The first of which is actually from Michael Pachter. Now, I know he's a bit of a controversial figure and he's wrong as often as he is right, but I still think it's interesting to see his predictions and just kind of place an internal bet on whether or not this one is actually true. Now, we've already discussed in the past that he is expecting the PS5 to come out in 2019 and it's going to be backwards compatible with the PS4/Pro. He has basically said that he is under no impression that Sony are trying to respond to the presence of the Xbox One X on the market and fast track the PS5 onto that same market in, say, 2018, just for example. Now, obviously, as I've already said in my E3 videos, I would be shocked if Sony didn't drastically reduce the price of the Pro for Christmas to try and undercut Microsoft in terms of, hey, we're cheaper. But that's not exactly the same as, hey, we're rushing out our new console because we don't want the Xbox One X being the most powerful console on the market, which obviously it very much will be when it comes out. So, according to Pachter, Sony is basically going to wait until 4K has become cheaper and more widespread. Now, 4K is more affordable than it used to be. You know, those TVs used to be like $1,000 ago, which for a lot of people is just like, no, forget it, that's way too much. Especially when, for a lot of people, the difference is nice, but it's not nowhere near worth that kind of cash. Now you can get a pretty decent 4K for still a fair chunk of change, like £300 to £400, depending on where you go, but it's still more affordable than 1,000 plus. So Sony obviously are going to be aware of what's happening in the 4K market because that's kind of their thing, and they're probably going to deliberately time the PS5 with, hey, a huge sale of 4K TVs, more people have 4K TVs than ever, they're cheaper to produce, they're cheaper to buy, bam, here's the PS5, and of course they are planning on it being more powerful than the Xbox One X because it would be a bit of a bold move, to say the least, to not do that. Another interesting thing that he had to say regarding the power of the machine is that it's going to be a battle of TFLOPS. And let's read the actual quote before I get too into it. He said, quote, "By the time 4K becomes affordable in 2019, PlayStation will have a 4K device that will have more TFLOPS than the Xbox One X because they seem to be in a TFLOPS race." And to be fair, he's not wrong. You know, there has been a pretty big thing about the Xbox One X and of course the Pro. But before we knew any real specs about the Xbox One X, when it was first hinted at or revealed, I guess, E3 last year, the first thing we heard is 6 teraflops. That is a word, that's the first spec that we knew for sure, and obviously only a few months ago did we learn, okay, it also has this amount of memory, this amount of processing power, blah 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 blah. So they've been trumpeting that pretty hard. So obviously, as I myself and Paul has said, and pretty much everyone under the sun has said at this point, it's more than just TFLOPS in terms of how powerful a machine is. You know, you can't just put a really powerful graphics card in a machine with a bad processor and expecting the same results as if you had, say, you know, top of the line Ryzen 7, whatever, you know, wherever it happens to be, i7, the latest one. Doesn't matter. The point is, it's not just, hey, this has more TFLOPS, therefore it wins. It's more complicated than that when it comes to specs. So I have no doubt that they're going to be trumpeting the TFLOPS because, you know, it's easy to say it's the bigger number because, you know, we're kind of going back in time a little bit here, like we had in the 8 to 16-bit era. You know, that was all over the, you know, it said on the console, oh, this is 8-bit, yeah, but this is 16-bit, we've got 8 more bits than you. So we're kind of going back to that again, except, you know, we've got 6 teraflops, or oh yeah, we've got 8 teraflops, or whatever it happens to be. Basically, they're like two kids in the schoolyard going, my dad's bigger than your dad and he'll beat him up. Basically, is what it's come down to. But obviously, another important thing is specs is optimization, and we do have some comments from Mike Ybarra on that. And he was asked several questions on Twitter. I'm sure he gets bombarded with them all the time. But obviously, one of the big things that they use at E3, and obviously prior to that with the spec reveal to kind of show off the power of the Xbox One X, is Forza Motorsport 7. And people basically asking, you know, is what we saw from Forza the pinnacle of what the X can do? Or is there more, you know, or I guess, is there a load of breathing room past that? Or is there just a little bit of breathing room past that? Because they did make it clear there was still power to spare. And basically people want to know how much the console can be pushed past what we've seen. And he said, quote, "It's really title specific, so hard to answer firmly. As we finish optimizing the systems, it should benefit games even more." So basically, they're still doing optimization on the X is what's to be taken away from this. And not to say that, oh, they're still working on the hardware, because obviously not. It's out in a few months. You know, they've got a ton of red tape to get through before they can get a product onto market. So obviously it's to do with software optimization, that sort of thing, working with developers, people who've got the dev kits, you know, oh, where can we improve on here? Oh, okay, your game's doing a bit of a weird thing with that engine. Okay, we can update it. That's obviously what they mean when it comes to optimization. So I guess it's just sort of nice to show that even though the hardware is, you know, what it is now, unless they do another sort of update later on down the line, like a Slim or whatever, which they very well might, they are still working on the optimization of the software, trying to get it working better with games. You know, more and more games are probably going to get the support for 4K or 60 frames or whatever it is they happen to choose, that sort of thing. So yeah, basically it's going to be very, very interesting for the X. And if Michael Pachter is right and Sony does not release the PS5 until 2019, Microsoft are going to be at the top in terms of power for a long time. Do I think his 2019 prediction is a good one? Obviously, I'm not an analyst, but it makes sense in my head because the Pro has not been out that long. It's only been out about, well, not even a year yet. And I think Sony are aware that they're going to upset too many people if they release another console too soon. So I don't think they'll do 2018. I mean, they could, but I think it'd be too soon, personally. So I think 2019 is fairly bang on the money. And if that's the case, then Microsoft are going to have the lead in terms of power. Obviously, as I've said many times now, it's not just about power. You know, you can have the most powerful machine in the world, but without the games, it's just a very expensive paperweight. So Microsoft still have work to do. It's not like, oh, they want more power, therefore they win. It's obviously a bit more intricate than that, and I'm sure they're aware of that. And we're going to be seeing a very interesting battle. And we may very see a reversal of the fortunes of the consoles, where, you know, obviously various NPD reports and other sales charts, we've seen the PS4 pretty much winning almost every time, minus a few months streaks here and there from the Xbox One, and of course the release of the S kind of tipped the scales as well. So we might see a reversal of that fortune when the X comes out, or we might not. Unfortunately, once again, crystal ball is on the fritz, so it's hard to say. Thank you very much for watching though, guys. As always, your support is highly appreciated. If you haven't done so already, do take a look at our Patreon. If not, thank you again for watching. Even just giving us a like or a subscribe, it does help out a great deal. So, thanks again. Bye for now.